David King, let's talk about Geelong. They're playing Friday night and the river. How do we explain the river to our viewers?
Well, if you can see a river in front of you and a big rock in the middle, the big rock in the middle is the centre square.
Yep.
So Geelong players choose one side of the rock. If you're an onside runner, that's where they get their outnumber, and we'll show that in a moment. No one goes into the middle. They don't go into the corridor. Charge forward, run the fat side, and end up like a sliding wingman or a flanker type. So it sounds really basic, but when you see it, you can't stop seeing it. And this is how I think Chris Scott's brilliance comes across, because most teams want to guard the corridor. So they put numbers in the middle of the ground, or they want to guard the usable leading lanes. So they commit one player. One player's enough. All Geelong want is the outnumber. This is not going into the middle. So don't bother. It's almost a soft one-on-one here. So it's effectively Heaney versus Holmes. So he guards that leading lane, which is what a lot of teams like to do. Start to formulate your grid a little bit, soft one-on-one, as I said. Holmes knows where it's going. So his job is to get to this position here. That's already a 4-on-3. He's trying to make that a 5-on-3. If he's needed, he's not needed. He runs to the next one. We see Bailey Smith do this. We see Myers do this. We see Manor do this. And it's just one more player at that next destination. It sounds really simple because it is. So they don't bother, lining up in the middle of the ground for that short little 20-metre kick. They know where it's going. I don't know how many times we've seen this play, same side. So the forwards isolate that space, tease up, to bang, little tick leads. And the kicks do all the work. Now, eventually you have to bring this ball in slightly. If they've got someone to use, they'll take that. But it's not really turnover central. It's not really a ball that's going to hurt them. We know where this is going. How many times across the last 10 years have you seen Tomahawk just lead into that position there and take the uncontested mark? So it's the wide weaponry that gets you. So they don't bother charging through the middle, and if you're going to commit defenders in that area, they are going to be redundant.
And Joey, what about that? That's a good point he makes. So from a corridor coverage perspective, if you were coaching against that, what would you do?
If you're coaching against it, well, you've got to be aware of it, first of all. So you've got to start the hedge and maybe not protect the corridor as much as you will with other teams. But you've only got a week to train it. Geelong have been playing it all season long. It's predictable to them. Yep. They know the patterns they're running. They get the outnumber. All you want to do when you go to a contest is outnumber. You get that more often than not. And then you can also defend through it most of the time because teams are coming back into an outnumber of the opposition.
What a great luxury to have those two runners on either side. Yeah. To be able to pick up the slack, get to contest, at the outnumber and numerical advantage. But coming up against Brisbane, what are we expecting?
Well, they won that critical ball. That first ball that goes long and wide, and then they come straight back at them. Whether it's through corridor or back into a disorganised defence, they made them pay. So scores from turnover, 10 goals to 3. So this is really simple. So go. Win the ball, we've got to go. Now, we've talked a lot about Zorko, and he's a rarity in the AFL. But these next possessions here are at speed. There's 2 handballs there that get them at speed. Here, ball gets turned over. If they do bite something off, they want to switch there. Bang, Wilmot's onto it. Ready to go, charge at them. So it's win that ball wing line or just wide of wing line.
So that's Harris Andrews territory.
It is exactly here. So this is the ball that you're talking about. So they're the sorts of turnovers that they want. But it's one thing to get the turnover, Joey, but they will go straight. This is why I think Brisbane have so much joy against Geelong. They trust their back six to win it back, or their high backs to win it back, and then they can almost pick Geelong apart a little bit. They do play a different sort of defence, and it can look unorganised on occasion.
Yeah, Brisbane are by far the best team in the competition at changing angles, changing lanes, and you've just spoken about what Geelong want. We've seen Geelong all year. How do they want it coming in? Straight lines. Tom Stewart gets in line with the footy, the other defenders, so they want straight line footy. If you can change angles on them, like Brisbane have done the last 3 times, that's how you can get the Cats.
Or go fast.
Yeah.
Like you'll see them go, we've got to go. Risk turning it over to get back to score against Geelong.
It's a good point, because the other thing the Cats defenders do is they tend to sit back. So if you can get that one in the corridor, then they have to press, and then we saw Brisbane get the outnumber and overlap over the top of the Geelong defence.
King, let's talk about Bailey Smith, because you just showed the vision there. His value, that game plan is right in his wheelhouse. His running ability, his ability to break lines, but we were upstairs, and I love this. We sit there and go, tell me a recruit that can do this, this, this and this. Yeah. He's had an incredible year.
An amazing year. I mean, he's second favourite for the Brownlow, and he's playing in a team that could win the flag. I haven't seen a recruit that's done this for quite some time, and everyone will say, oh, but what about Jardim? What about Dangerfield? No one's won a Brownlow and a flag in their first year. For pick 17.
That's the perfect season.
It's the perfect season. And what more do you want, Joey? Yeah. I mean, just put a statue of the recruiting department out the front tomorrow if this happens. But I marvel at what this guy was able to do. Now, we isolated a camera onto him against Richmond a couple of weeks ago, and just watching it back, Joey, I was amazed, not at his work rate, but just his investment in the game. He's not a drifter at all. His concentration is fanatical. He just channeled into where the ball is and how he can get involved at all times. His communication is actually pretty good, and he's prepared to put his hand up if he makes a blue. Everything's at quality. They give him the ball whenever they can. Danger loves him. He got to him about 4 or 5 times during this game because he kept looking after him. But he's having, the AFL number 1 disposals, 31.6 on average. Number 2 in the comp for uncontested possessions. Number 10, top 10 in the comp for score involvements. He's been a phenomenal player for them.
It's been incredible. What he and Max Holmes have been able to do, the Dash brothers, but the way that, but even his tackling, it's underrated. He's a tackler too.
Yeah, he is.
He gets after them, and
that's the mistake there, Joey. So he just says, "Look, sorry guys, sorry, that's mine." And I think you like that.
That's the environment at Geelong too. You know what? Everyone embrace the mistakes, embrace who you are. He's having an incredible season, and you wouldn't be shocked at all if it just continues through the final series.
I know the boys will show more of that on Friday night, but I was blown away by the team-first mentality with everything that he was doing, and his work rate we talk a lot about, and you've coined them the Dash brothers, and that's spot on. But just his investment in team is something that hits you between the eyes.
Yeah, and I love watching Oppo hearts break as he runs past that gut-wrenching when you're absolutely exhausted. It's time for Thanks to Workday, Joey. Let's give Fremantle some love. They've had a pretty stellar season, but now they come into an exciting finals.
Yeah, let's look at the elimination finals. And I think for Fremantle, this is their moment of truth, but I think they just need to trust their system. They need to trust what has got them to this point, because there has been a lot of noise about them this year. But when they actually sit back and take a look at why they should back themselves in, is they started shaky. They were zipping 2 to start the year. They got smacked by Geelong at home. They then lost to Sydney in round 2. But from that moment on, they've gone 16-5. That's the equal best record of any team in the competition. Their record against finals teams, their win percentage is the best in the competition. They've gone 5-2 in that time against top 8 teams. And they're the only side in the competition that have come from behind 5 times in fourth quarters. So this group does have the character and the resilience now to be able to back themselves in and trust what they've done all year to be able to continue in finals. And when you talk about their record in fourth quarters, and there it is, there the numbers about that three-quarter time come from behind, a big part of that has been what they've been able to do with the 2 rucks. And this is the perfect occasion for the 2 rucks this weekend, because it's probably going to be wet in Perth, and they're coming up against Jared Witts, who you need to wear down. And this has been Fremantle's numbers since round 8. So that's when the 2 boys started playing together, because Darcy missed the first few weeks, Jackson missed 3 weeks with a hammy. But from round 8 onwards, so you can see their clearance and points from clearance inside 50 differential, just AFL average. But what has been crucial has been their fourth quarters and what they've been able to do late in games. And that's where they've been able to wear teams down with the 2 rucks. And they were able to do that against Jared Witts last time they played. Jackson was the highest rated player on the ground in the fourth quarter. Sean Darcy, the 5th highest. And I think this is what they've just got to do. They don't blow teams out the water necessarily with the way they play. They grind teams down with their style and their system. And I think they've just got to continue to back themselves in, because it will be a grind. We've spoken about the other finals, in particular the Adelaide-Collingwood final. I think this will be something similar. It's a stoppage game, isn't it, King? Let's be honest. It's a midfield battle with what Anderson, Rowell and Miller have got versus Sarong, Young and Brayshaw. So if they can get on top, it might not be early. They're going to have their hands full with the 2 superstars from Gold Coast. But if they can just continue to chip away and wear them down late, I think that's how they can get the job done.
Finals are chaos. So you've got to win the ball on the ground. The uncontested mark game for me disappears. So that's been my criticism. Why play a game that's going to disappear in finals? So if you can do all this, if your hunt is strong, you'll win finals. So that's been the critique and that's been the criticism. But you're right. They've got all the tools. Their list wants for nothing. I mean, they've got probably the nominal rising star. We've talked all year about the rucks and you've just shown the numbers. Their back line is just in ripping condition and in good form. And their forward line, led by Tracy and the wild card in Bolton, well, you don't need much more than that.
So what about that word you mentioned at the start, trust? So they've earned the right now. You trust Fremantle?
Yeah, I think so. I think they've shown all year now. They've got the resilience and the character, come from behind wins. The win against Bulldogs, I think, would have franked that as well. Not many people gave them a chance. So I think they're just going along nicely. And now they just need to make sure they don't get stage fright at home in a final, get the job done and see if they can get through to the second week.
What about 20 mil? What does that do to Gold Coast and their chances?
20 mil of rain.
There's rain.
Yeah,
well, it's expected.
I thought signing another player, 20 mil. What did they get during the ad break? Look, I think it helps them. You're right. There's going to be tension on both sides of the fence here. Tension, Fremantle expected to win. $1.50 favourites. Gold Coast Suns, first final. So there's going to be tension. If it just stays close, deep in that final term, who knows?
Yep. I'm anticipating the big slug over there in Fremantle, 20 mil.